Elizabeth and John came to stay. We had 2 lovely 8-mile walks to Redbrook and the Eagle's Nest. Daniel, Sarah and Chloe visited us on their way to stay with friends at Portskewett. Elizabeth rang Jan to ask her to record some children's songs for Chloe, which we put up on the Our Jan website. At Gullybrook Lane, we helped Paul to erect the frame for his new 12-foot by 6-foot polytunnel. First we had to drill 8 large holes into the flags for the anchors before assembling the skeleton, which was like a giant Meccano project. It was a 12-hour day's work, and by the end of it my right knee kept giving away. It took over a week to recover. I started up a U3A web design group and a website to go with it. There were 8 of us in the group at the start, and I began by teaching them HTML coding using the brackets editor. Over the year, 6 members created their own websites, and then in the second year we went on to learn CSS coding. Jan and I introduced the Big Bad Wolf project by inviting Colin, Charles, Gina and Gwenda to form a new ukulele band. We got down to arranging and rehearsing 12 songs and met for 4 to 6 hours a week. However, when we had only 4 weeks to go before our first performance, Charles decided that we were not good enough for his talents and he resigned. This led to Gwenda quickly chickening out as well. Gina had already left due to illness. However, the 3 of us who were left decided to continue. We rearranged the songs and proceeded to get ready for the first performance. The line-up was now Colin on tenor ukulele, Jan on concert ukulele and Chris on U-bass. John and Pam came to stay. We went on 2 lovely 8-mile walks from Portskewett to Chepstow and then over to Redbrook. We drove over to Bristol for the day and followed Catherine around several parks, videoing her and her other dog walkers who worked for Doggy Ventures. I met Dave Clark, a good jazz guitarist, at the Coach and Horses, where we talked about forming a group. I then contacted a conga player named Gwyn, a saxophonist named Alan, and a singer named Pam. Soon we started to meet regularly at Penterry Park, and the 4+1 band was born. There were now 21 of us in the ukulele group, and calling ourselves Offa's Tykes, we were now performing at a variety of locations in the summer and at Christmas. Jan and Pat rehearsed for the choir concert as the 2 bridesmaids. Go.
Why am I always the bridesmaid, never the blushing bride? Ding dong, wedding bells only ring for other gals, but some fine day oh, let it be soon. I shall wake up in the morning on my own honeymoon.
With 12 songs ready, the 4+1 band ventured out to perform at the Cherry Tree Care Home in Caldecott, and then at the Windcliffe Arts Centre in St Albans. Alan Jones produced a great video of us.
Don't get around much anymore. Lord, this is the club.
Mum and Dad became quite ill, and so we children took it in turns to stay overnight at Oaklow. I went for 5 nights and took meals that Jan had kindly prepared. One day I went to Newton House and led the residents in a ukulele sing-along. On the day of the EU referendum, we decided to pull the old man's beard creeper off a tree in the garden. It was very hard work, especially as it covered the whole top of the tree. I reached it via an extended stepladder, while Jan stood on the bottom rung. For some reason, as I was descending, I fell off, knocking Jan over in one direction and falling onto my rib cage the other way. We both lay there winded for a while. Fortunately, Jan was soon on her feet again and was able to walk to the polling station. I had used my postal vote, which was a good thing, as I was quite unable to go with her, and just crawled into the conservatory and lay on the settee. I had sustained bruised ribs and strained muscles, and so I began to take the maximum dose of ibuprofen. The following morning, due to the pain, I got up at 4:30 a.m. and so was able to see the referendum results coming in. 3 days later, my muscles started going into spasms. Internet doctors said that this was to be expected. And a week later, I started gentle exercise and going for short walks. It took, as the Google doctor had told me, over 7 weeks before the pain noticeably began to subside. In August, the men from Superlight arrived and began the process of replacing the conservatory glass roof with a solid one. With a new frame in place, they installed layers of insulation and half-tiled the roof. A builder arrived and, standing on the untiled roof, began to cut out house bricks above the conservatory, installing trays between the bricks in order to divert water away from the conservatory. Meanwhile, the electrician started wiring and the plasterer working on the ceiling. After this, the Superlight team were able to complete the tiling of the roof and tidy up the inside of the conservatory. This was followed by the painting of the walls and the ceilings. Jan and I sanded down and re-varnished the furniture, ready for its return to the conservatory, and we moved the dining table into our new extension. Sky achieved a distinction in both of his B.Tech subjects, Information Technology and Business Studies. He came to stay, and I took him on the 8-mile walk from Bigswear Bridge along the Offarsdyke path to Redbrook, where we stopped for lunch and a pint at the Boat Inn, before returning to Bigswear Bridge following the course of the old railway. I met up with Jeff Cram in order to take over the role of the Chepstow U3A website administrator, and soon I was being emailed by conveners and committee members with information to be added to the site. Jan visited the Gwent Cat Protection website and saw a picture of Harry and Socks, 9-year-old brothers who had been abandoned. Soon they were delivered, and we kept them inside for 3 weeks as suggested. The lady who brought them thought that they might have the Maine Coon breed in their genes. Apparently these large furry cats were favourites of Marie Antoinette, who sent them ahead to America as she planned her not-to-be escape from France. The cats arrived in Maine, and the Americans thought that they looked like raccoons. Harry and Socks were very glad to eventually be given access into the garden, having lived outside without a home for about 3 years. They had lived on food from kindly neighbours until one of them thought it was about time to contact Cat's Protection. I put a cat flap into the shed and built them a wooden shelter inside. They gradually became more and more ready to re-enter the house as they realised that they were not going to be incarcerated for another 3 weeks. They were semi-feral, but friendly and liked to be stroked. They created nests for themselves in the wooded undergrowth, from where they came running when it was time for food. And sometimes they stayed in the conservatory to sleep on a beanbag. Earlier in the year, the neighbours to 4 Dalzell Street, Moor Row, Ben and Amy, contacted us to let us know that the front window had been broken and that loud music was being played late at night. Jan tried to contact Angela Fisher, who was also behind with her rent, to no avail. Also, the central heating engineer was unable to gain access to maintain the system and issue the annual certificate. Now they rang to tell us that our property was becoming a party house, with Angela Fisher's son bringing crates of beer and friends into the house. With no improvement in the situation, we had no choice but to serve a notice of tenancy termination. Forms for the eviction were sent to the county court, together with £355 for the application and £110 for the bailiffs. We would also pay a locksmith to change the locks, remove belongings and clean the house for £350, and a glazier to replace the broken window and the front door, which was also damaged, for £703. Eviction day eventually came, and the locksmith reported back with photographs that the toilet had been smashed, a cannabis factory was found upstairs, and a radiator had been pulled off the wall. The bill to rectify all of this was a further £960. The footnote to this story is that the neighbours, Ben and Amy, bought the house from us. With Colin's wife Maggie, the Big Bad Wolf ukulele band went to a rain-soaked Primfest at St Arvan's and played the opening set. Not many people turned up, but we were well received and stayed to watch Barry and Suzanne's group Wild Birdseed while eating beef burgers and drinking beer. 5 weeks later we performed at the Memory Cafe in Newport. It went down very well and the members joined in with most of the songs. Karina, an organiser from the Alzheimer's Society, was there and booked us for another Memory Caf performance 3 weeks later in Cwmbran. The Tom Jones song Delilah went down particularly well. "That's our national anthem," they said. The Offers Tykes ukulele band's Christmas season began at the Probus Club. This was followed by a return visit to the Crick residential home and their cream cakes afterwards. Finally we played at the U3A Christmas party in the drill hall along with a recorder group. Sue and Gwenda, who we gave lifts to on these occasions, told us how much the ukulele group means to them. Dave left the 4+1 band and we recruited Keith as our new guitarist. We performed at the Dolman Theatre, Newport in October, and for a Newport Inner Wheel charity fundraising dinner in November. Gwyn moved away from the area and we found a new drummer named John. The band finished the year with a dinner party at Keith's home with our spouses. The 10 of us got on very well and we had a great time. While teaching guitar and ukulele in Chepstow and at Usk, Jan invited one of her students, Elaine, to join the U3A ukulele group. Soon Colin and I agreed that Elaine would also make a good addition to the Big Bad Wolf Band. Our first performance together took place at the Malpas Court Memory Cafe near Newport. I began producing video montages for the different groups in Chepstow U3A and displayed these each month on the Chepstow U3A website.